these predictions are wonderful, but they always happen after the event has occurred. So, all these people who are reading all these prophecies, why couldn't they prevent it if they knew beforehand? If you know beforehand and if you do not prevent a pandemic, that's called a crime of the worst kind. So, it is a human fad that they want to have a scope into the future. Isn't it wonderful? You don't know what will happen next. Otherwise, could you live? So, there are a whole lot of people, astrologers are attacking me all over the place because I am not good for their business. So, this urge to always predict something. There was a man, he is no more. There was a man like this in Tamil Nadu. He predicted, 500 years later, there will be a big flood in Tamil Nadu. I said, that's wonderful. People came and asked me, Sadhguru, what do you think? 500 years later, there's going to be a major flood. I said, that is why I'm sitting at the foothills. In case the flood comes, we will go up the mountain. You are in Chennai, you will go. He said, is that so? I said, yes. But I can also make some predictions. 700 years later, this hill is going to become a volcano and blow. He said, what, really? I said, see, 700 years later, I will not be there, you will not be there. We can predict whatever we want. Please tell me what is going to happen in the next 5 days. Not even 5 months, next 5 days, tell me what's going to happen. This could be useful. Like a meteorological report. If you tell me what's going to happen in the next 5 days, it would be of some use. 500 years later, anything can happen. And of course, people have such a fad about these things, they will adjust the time and the prediction. Just about everything that can ever happen on this planet has already been said by Nostradamus. I'm not a French, I'm not conversant with French, but I like the word damus in English language. I don't know what it means in French. So this will go on and on, people making predictions always of the past. Well, if you look at certain projection of how populations are growing, how things are happening, what kind of ecological damage is happening, you can make some calculation and predict something. That in this trajectory if you go, this is what you will hit, we can say that. But 500 years of trajectory is a different matter, because we do not know what all forces will influence things. People say, after the world war is over, they say, we knew this is going to happen, somewhere it is written. After the nuclear bombs, atomic bombs were dropped, people say, we knew about this, 2 ugly spots will happen in the world. What about the test explosions? You missed all of them, you don't know how many hundreds of tests have been done. Maybe human beings did not die, I'm sure. A whole lot of creatures have died. So this is a wasteful thing. Instead of doing what you have to do now actively, you go on talking about how we already knew. There are 2 problems right now with coronavirus. Like somebody said, it is dense population and dense population. We are already a dense population. don't also be dense up here. Let's do what best we can do, don't predict how many people will die. It's just stupid. How many people we will not let them die, this is important. No, it's not needed. It's definitely not needed. But morning, evening, is this very worldly? Hello? Is it very worldly or no? If you stop all that, then I will not ask you to volunteer, I will not ask you to serve, I will not ask you to do anything. If you simply sit like this, no food, no movement, no toilet, if you simply sit, I will also come and fall at your feet. You don't have to do anything, we will worship you every day. Yes, we will. I'm not joking. We definitely will. But you are very worldly. But when others eat, suddenly it is worldly. This is spiritual. You eating is spiritual. Somebody eating is worldly. So, my meal is very spiritual meal. Your meal is worldly meal. No. We must decide. If you are oblivious to your own suffering, then you have a right to be oblivious to everybody's suffering. Absolutely nothing matters to you. But when this matters, everything matters. So, the reason why there is a certain amount of negativity against spiritual movements is because of this. Because largely they have been perceived as irresponsible people. People who live on the society. It's very, very important. If society gives you 10 rupees, you must do 100 rupees of work. Yes. Only then you have a right to close your eyes and simply sit like this. Otherwise you have no right. If you think forsaking your humanity is your spirituality, I'm sorry, I don't want such spirituality. But if you become like this, nothing about you is material. You simply… then we will not ask you to serve. You don't have to. As long as this is there, you must serve. Because for this to happen, behind this there are so many people. There are people out there still working in the field. So, when all of them are sticking out their life for you to eat, you not willing to do even a little bit, doesn't sound like spirituality to me. This happened. Once Shankaran Pillai was in New York before the virus, I'm telling you. And he married a young American woman and she had just received a largesse or over $10 million from her grand aunt. After a week of marriage, she found he was barely interested in her, but only in the things that came with her. Then she cornered him and asked, "Did you marry me only for the $10 million that came from my grand aunt?" He said, "Sarah, let me be frank with you, I really don't care from whom it came." So, you will find usually criminals are quite unprejudiced. They're like virus. Whoever you are, whatever you think you are, they'll get you. But others are super prejudiced and they think they're good, that's the worst thing. Because once there is prejudice, Negative action is just a question of situations pushing you into it. But you will do terrible things with great pride, that's the whole thing. You will do absolutely horrendous things with enormous pride that you're doing the right thing. You've always seen people who believe they're doing God's work do the most horrendous things on the planet. That's been the history of humanity. So, the source, the still source within you, if you build a bridge to that, this is a good time. This is a good time because dynamism has to be in your stillness, because activity could break your home. I'm sorry if I'm rubbing it on you. I hear that there is lot of domestic violence rising in the world. In some countries it's multiplied. That means your dynamism is getting destructive. Your dynamism is breaking somebody's bones, but it may break your home. Your house may fall apart if you're locked there for too long. So, this domestic violence growing is unfortunate, but it is also… it's also time for you to decide where you should live. Yes, you should, because just being together for 2 weeks, if it is leading to broken bones or physical injuries, I think you really have to think what is worth doing in this life, because not just me, I've been doing this for a long time but not so effectively, but the virus is reminding you that you're mortal, essentially telling you your time is limited. Whether you get the infection or not, whichever way it is very limited. So in such a limited amount of time, don't carry on endless dramas of life. Which drama is worth playing, which will enhance your life and the lives of people around you, is something that you must take a call. No, what will they think, what will my neighbors think, what will my relatives think? Anyway, they're not thinking great things about you. Generally, they don't. Or whatever they think, whatever anybody thinks is their problem, it's not your problem. Your business is just this. This is not some philosophy I'm teaching you, this is how this plant lives, this is how this tree lives, this is how every life lives. They're all trying to make their life as beautiful as possible, as full as possible. You think this plant is worrying, my flowers are so small and feeling shy, here there's Nagalingam tree, such big fragrant flowers, is it feeling shy? Do you think so? It is throwing out its best, that's all. This is the nature of life. If you don't get contaminated by the social process, if you look at the existential process of life, you will see this is all the life wants to do. The life wants to become full. Only problem with human beings is, see, so many coconut trees, they are not trying to reach the sky, believe me, they're tall. Among the trees they're very tall, but they have no aspiration to reach the sky. They want to be full-fledged coconut trees, whatever that is. Whether it's 70 feet or 80 feet, they're not thinking of that. All they're doing is, they're not trying to grow either. They're just putting their roots deep into the soil, getting all the nourishment they want to get, whatever happens, happens. That's the only way life can happen. You have to sink your roots into the source of who you are. What happens out of that happens. and the best will happen. But best means what? Sadhguru, can I be better than the Nagalinga tree? You're not one. Just that this life should become a full-fledged process, that's all. This is never going to be better than anything or worse than anything. So, this time at home, you must make use of it. Do not break the walls, do not break anybody else in your home. Make use of this time to mature yourself into a more profound being. This is your opportunity.